Hi, my name is Shara Roberts. These are my logbooks for the Progression Routes project. This is my second logbook for the 20th of September, and this is my clip for Friday the 20th of September. We have a Friday. So we kind of have the same aim and objectives all day again, and the aim today, which is Friday, is to continue creative tasks and apply feedback and guidance to further develop your performance pieces. Our objectives were Louis to lead warm-up or take part, to work creatively in small groups, to explore our collection of stimuli using recorded material, and apply teacher and peer feedback. I have quite a few notes for today, so this might be a little bit longer, but let's start my target. So my target is to take part effectively in the warm-up, making sure I'm engaged and focused, and also using feedback I'm given to add to my piece and also my part within other pieces. I'll make sure I'm focused and engaged throughout the day to make sure I don't miss anything important, and also share my ideas when I have them. I'll be working towards the practical skills area of the matrix as we are working practically, and the evaluation and reflection section as I will be reflecting on feedback given to me previously. This will help me reach my target grade of a merit, as well as in my future career goal, as I will need to apply feedback and direction given by the director. Today, I'm just going to get my other notes, was a day of really just kind of like working on our pieces. So this morning we did a physical one with Lydia because Louis couldn't think of one, and we did a little bit of fitness, which was slightly easier than it was last year because of the amount of fitness that we were doing for Lysistrata, and then also the amount we do with Jess. I feel like that's helped increase our stamina a bit, so we're not getting as tired, and we could do, I think we did 5 reps today. So yeah, that went really well. I quite enjoyed that. And then after that, the people who were doing monologues, or I think Amelia needed a few people, so they were working with her and Mandy, and then Bex and Jack were doing their thing. And then the people who were doing songs, which is me, Alfie, Yan and Rose, were with Lydia, getting feedback, and also like performing. So I showed Lydia my song for the first time today, and I got quite a bit of feedback, but she did say that I have a good tone and I got like a good voice, I guess. And I need to be more confident in myself and don't doubt myself. But the feedback I got from Lydia originally was don't be apologetic, be confident, open mouth more, bigger, deeper breaths before falsetto, and also analyse the Spirit Youth Company performers, and how confident they are, their stage presence, and how they use their bodies when they're singing. Because I want to go into musical theatre, I need to be more confident, and I need to be able to use my body while I'm singing, and also my facial expressions. And when I am singing, I've got my feet in parallel, and I've got my arms by my side, and I am using my body language and my facial expressions to show my emotions, as well as adding that emotion to my voice, which is quite effective. So I had a look at the Spirit performers, and they all use their bodies when they're performing. They use their facial expressions and they project. And at the moment I'm struggling with projection because in my falsetto it's not as strong as my chest voice, but I'm also doubting myself, so I'm not projecting as much as I could be. So I need to start being more confident in myself, and even if I hit a wrong note, I do it confidently and not hit the note and be like, oh, I got the wrong note, and then carry on, because that's what I was doing in rehearsals, and I was like, I shouldn't really be doing that. So that is that. And then I also worked with Rose afterwards. I've got hiccups, sorry. On like building up. I really have bad hiccups, I'm so sorry. On building up like my confidence and projection as well. And then a couple of notes I got from her, which were to project from the second chorus. So the first chorus I'm going into my head voice, but the second chorus I was also going to my head voice, but she wants me to belt it. But I quite like the softer approach, and when I belt it, I can't necessarily hit the right notes. And when I belt it, I know that I've hit like a flat note, or like I'm not confident enough to like belt it. So I need to work a bit more on that bit. And then also to start to build power at the end of the second verse. So the line is, and we are all connected to each other in a circle and a hoop that never ends. And that's where I start to build the power up towards the end of the song. So that is that. And then that's pretty much it. This afternoon I worked with George, just kind of like perfecting the piano with the voice and making sure it's in the right key, making sure it's not too low or too high, and that the tempo's all right. And then this afternoon, it was the afternoon, but like the last session today, we had Lydia for our progression routes, and I need to find my little, here we are, and we were working on our contemporary monologues today, and I was struggling to find, not contemporary, classical, and I was struggling to find a classical monologue, so I asked Lydia if she had, because she mentioned she had one, and so I'm doing a monologue from Electra, which is written by Sophocles, I think that's how it's pronounced, I'm not too sure, but I've got the play, and I need to read the play and analyse it, and also know the story, so if I'm asked questions I can answer the questions confidently. And also my monologue, I need to cry, so I am researching techniques on how to cry on cue. I will go into more detail in a minute in the questions clip, but we also did some work on Stanislavski, because I missed the Stanislavski session last time due to my vertigo, or I wasn't feeling too well, I can't remember which. It was when we had Karen, I think it was at the start of Macbeth, or it might have been like kind of around when we had the car crash, I'm not too sure. No, it was before that. But they did a session on Stanislavski, and I saw screen acting. It might have been screen acting. Anyway, they did a session on Stanislavski, and I missed it because I went home ill. So I've got some notes on some of like his techniques, I guess. I think that's what it's called. So objectives is a goal a character wants to achieve. So like what do they want? An action orientated. I feel like that's not the right word. I can't read my own writing. We'll go with orientated, opposed to an internal goal. Probably not right, but that's what it looks like. And it does not have to be achieved by the character. It can be as simple as something in the script, so like pour a glass of wine. So their goal is to pour that glass of wine. So super objectives it focuses on the entire play as a whole, and I've got in capitals read the play, because that's really important. It connects the objectives to the final objective to make the storyline make sense, and so the example we've got is that our career goal or our dream, so like mine is to be a musical theatre performer, that is our super objective, and then our objectives, so like going to college, going to university, they're objectives to help us get to our super objective. So that is connecting our objectives, because where am I going with this? Our objectives are connecting to reach our super objective, because you have to do those steps in order to get to your super objective, if that makes sense. I hope that does. I need to stretch my leg again. And then we also looked at obstacles and hurdles, so what's in the way of getting that objective, things that can stop or hinder your character from achieving individual objectives. So like we used the example of pouring the wine. If you don't have a bottle of wine in the house and you need to pour that glass, you then need to go out and get wine, which then is a hurdle because you can't get straight on with pouring that glass of wine, because you then need to go and get some wine instead of just getting some wine out of the fridge, or like having it next to you and pouring the glass of wine. You actually have to go to the shop to get the glass of wine. What are my hand movements? So that's that. Actions and tactics. So your character attempts to get what they want and employ certain tactics or actions. Tactics can turn the words of the playwright into actions of the actor. So like how the character is going to say or do something. And I've also got to write an objective for each line and also an action as well. And then we looked at given circumstances / context, which is basically the plot, the facts, the incidents, the period, the time, the place, and the way of life. And I'm going to do some research into the history of the time that my play was written, which is Electra, which was written in 406 BC, I do believe, by what I've read in the book so far. We also need to research the historical, political, cultural, and religious context in time period it was written. That's what that means. So due to starting late today, we've had to push back working on our classical monologue another week, or like extend working on our classical monologue another week. So we've had to push back the contemporary monologue. So we did have the contemporary monologue starting. So this week was starting on classical monologues, next week's getting up on its teacher feedback, the week after is peer feedback, and then it's starting on our classical contemporary, but we're going to have to push that back another week. I have dates, hang on. So I think 18th is when we're starting our contemporary. And yeah, so we've had to push that back another week. But that's fine. So that is my clip for Friday the 20th of September.